Hello everybody, today we're going to be reading my longest fanfic yet, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Irreversible Damage by u/IC Opportunity 9 on Reddit. They should go check him out. And yeah, this is over 100 pages long, so make sure to go get some snacks ready, get some water, get all that stuff, because we're going to be here for a while. And yeah, if you guys like Diary of a Wimpy Kid content in general, then make sure to subscribe. It's absolutely free, helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate it, and it'll help me reach my goal of 400 subscribers by June, and 1,000 subscribers just overall, because that's the goal I'd like to reach. Anyway, I'm going to stop asking you guys for your gratification, and let's just get straight into it. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Irreversible Damage, with a very beautiful cover here by John Was Never on Reddit, who I've also read books by. Anyway, let's get into it. Sunday. In the past, I've bought all kinds of junk from those ads at the back of comic books, but all of them have been absolutely useless. I remember buying some X-ray glasses thinking that I'd be able to learn something new about girls, but they turned out just to be regular glasses with psychedelic lenses. Oof. Those, plus all the other crap I bought, put me off buying anything else from those ads, till I saw one that caught my eye. Mystery potions. 3 random potions per order. Which ones will you get? Only $4.99 per order. Call 1-800-922-5443 to order. The ad was extremely sketchy, but I couldn't resist it due to the low price. Honestly, I wasn't even sure if the ad was real until this morning when I found a surprise waiting for me in the mailbox. They really weren't lying about the potions being mysterious, as all 3 of them came in this unlabeled test tubes. Okay, here's a smart thing he's gonna do. He's not gonna test himself, so he located a suitable guinea pig. Hello, friend. I've seen Fraggly eat his boogers and earwax on multiple occasions, so these potions are hardly the most disgusting thing he's put in his mouth. As it turns out, the first potion was basically a fart amplifier, and I could do without that in my life, and I made a mental note to dispose of this as soon as possible. Second potion made the drinker invisible, and it was actually pretty useful. Unfortunately, Fraggly drank the entire tube, which is a big shame, so I wanted to use it to sneak it to the girls' locker room. Hey, can you still see my secret freckle? Dude, what is with Greg and, stalking people in this? I don't like where this is going. And there wasn't any chance of me using Fraggly to test the third potion, so I just couldn't see him anymore. I went home, presuming he just wandered off. I don't know how to make Fraggly visible again, but I'm pretty sure the only way is by soaking him in water. Since Fraggly's never showered once in his life, he'll always stay invisible until he gets caught in the rain. Anyways, I told Rowley about the potions, but he wasn't as enthusiastic about them as I was. Wait, unlabeled potions? You can't buy those. They're illegal. They could kill you. Wait, no, it's just some harmless fun. I'll bring some to school tomorrow to show you. In truth, I have no idea what the third potion does, but I hope it's something good, not another fart amplifier. Monday. I brought the third potion to school and told Rowley what I planned on doing with it, but he disagreed with me again. Don't use it on Abigail, Greg. That's not nice. I tried to explain to Rowley how Abigail deserved to be pranked because she used us to cheat on her boyfriend, but he wouldn't budge. In the end, I ignored him and slipped the potion into Abigail's drink during lunch. I'm guessing this takes place after the third wheel. That makes sense. I didn't see any immediate effects like I did with Fraggly, and I initially thought the potion didn't do anything. But then I heard there was commotion in the girls' bathroom when I found out what it was. I discovered that the potion had worked after all. It took me a moment to realize it. The potion turned Abigail into a guy. I wasn't expecting it, but boy does revenge feel good. I wonder how much he's packing. I knew I could make good use out of that potion. I used half of it on Abigail, and I wasn't sure how to get more. So I'd never been good at chemistry. I asked Alex Aruda to reverse engineer it so he could make more. Unfortunately, he wasn't interested once I told him what the potion did. Seriously, you're still interested in girls? I'll have you know that falling in love is a mental illness and that distracts from the finer aspects of... Dude, I think Alex Aruda just likes men, if I'm being honest, but yeah. I wasn't going to spend all day listening to Alex rant about how philosophy and calculus were more interesting than girls, so I moved on. Luckily, Shirag was willing to help me make more of the potion, so I gave him a sample to take home. I thought he'd be almost as good as Alex, but I was proven wrong. Gregory, help me! On the other hand, Shirag had successfully replicated the potion, but on the other, he thought it was a good idea to drink some to see if it worked. And let me tell you, it did. Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Also, Shirag's Indian in the movies, so it's not racist, kind of. But then Shirag told me that he couldn't piss standing up anymore. No, don't let boundaries stop you. Stand on the seat if you have to. I thought it was no big deal because Mom forced us to sit down whenever he used the bathroom, but he said he had a doctor's appointment next week and I didn't want his parents to find out about this. Unfortunately, I never paid attention to chemistry and I have no idea how to brew antidotes, so I just told him to try drinking more of the potion while standing on his head. With that out of the way, I collected several bottles of the potion and left. Tuesday, when I got to school, I ran into Rowley. By the looks of it, he thought I had done something to Abigail. Yesterday, Greg told me he planned on pranking Abigail. I told him not to do it, but he still did. Luckily, I came prepared, and I gave Rowley a juice box as a peace offering. What Rowley didn't know is I'd laced the juice with a fart-amplifying potion. Of course, he eventually found out, but at the worst possible time. That's like nuclear right there. All the guys thought it was pretty funny, but the girls thought differently of it. To be honest, I felt a little bad for Rowley. I hope he remembers this in the next time he tries to betray me. Wow, no, Greg, always use sympathy and not revenge. Revenge is not the Jedi way. You gotta know that. You're disgusting. Luckily for me, Rowley was too stupid to determine that his fart and the juice were linked, and he forgave me and admitted he was wrong for thinking I did something to Abigail. Does this just prove his point? It's whatever. In other news, I only brought the gender-swapping potion in hopes of using it on more people. My first target was Patty Farrell, as she really hates she really hates guys thanks to people like me, and I knew she wouldn't take well to becoming one. And I'd only used the potion to turn girls into guys. I decided to try the opposite and gave some to Tyson Sanders. It didn't work quite as well, though. I guess the potion works better on girls, because Tyson did not look like a convincing girl. At least he wouldn't be able to moon me as he uses the bathroom anymore. I do not like getting mooned by guys. Unfortunately, Tyson seemed happy with the result and said he was going to show himself off to the other guys. I told him I wasn't interested and left, but it was only then that I remembered I forgot to tell him there was no antidote as far as I knew. Speaking of which, I ran into Shirag, who told me that potion hadn't warmed up and that my idea hadn't worked. I was pretty well out of ideas, so I just gave him the potion's company phone number and told him that he could probably order an antidote from there. I'm not even sure if the company makes antidotes, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. That'd be good money. Sell bad potions and sell antidotes to them. Wednesday. Yes, it was inevitable that Abigail's parents would notice that their daughter was now their son, because I saw Mr. Brown talking to Vice Principal Roy about suing the school for forcing his daughter into a sex change. As a result, I ended up not using the gender-swapping potion because I wasn't sure if Mr. Brown had ordered an investigation into his daughter's transformation, and I certainly didn't want him to suspect me. Shirag wasn't at school today, so I went over to his house to see if the antidote had worked, but the company seemed to have sent him a pack of mystery potions that he mistook for an antidote. At least I could start using the invisible Shirag joke seriously for once. Can you still see me? Do you know if I still exist? From what I know, these invisibility potions wear off with water, so I just told Shirag to take a shower. While Shirag was in the shower, I noticed 2 more test tubes lying on the floor. One of them was broken. I ended up pocketing the other one. As it turns out, the water thing only works in comics, and Shirag was still invisible once he finished his shower. I told him I'd do more research into making him invisible again, but in truth, I have no idea what I'm going to do. Well, apart from test out that potion I stole from him. Thursday, last night I found that Manny had stuffed slices of meat into the disk drive of my video game console, and I decided that the potion would be the perfect way to get my revenge on him. It's a good thing Mom hadn't woken up yet, because I'm pretty sure that she wouldn't have let me lace Manny's cereal with the potion. And what's the word for a mushroom in Egyptian? Boom! You got shroomed. That's how Digby do. Oh goodness, not this again. I prayed that the potion wouldn't give Manny fangs and wings, and luckily for me it didn't. Said Manny stood on his plastic pony and began swinging side to side of the sneezing jest. Oh, he's dabbing. Please jump. Manny was still doing that weird dance when I left, and I thought he'd be stuck doing it until he dies from exhaustion, if the other potions are anything to go by. I ended up taking that potion to school. Dude, imagine death by dabbing. That'd be a shameful way to die. I ended up taking that potion to school with me because there are tons of idiots who deserve to be permanently stuck doing that weird dance. And the first person I could think of was Ruby Bird. For you, Miss Bird, I've heard that female mosquitoes are more aggressive than their male counterparts. I think the same applies to whatever species Ruby and Fragley classify as, because she bit me twice before grabbing the can from me. It hurt like hell, but it was worth it for the end result. And if that wasn't enough, I also gave some from the guys at lunch to shut them up for good. Fortunately, I was starting to run out of the dancing potion, so I couldn't use it on all the guys. To make matters worse, Rowley decided to join in because he thought the dance looked fun. Sometimes I didn't know about that boy. Dude, he's just there for the vibe. Let's go, Rowley. You know, he's the only one who's allowed to dab and, not get jumped for it. I ended up avoiding Rowley for the rest of the day, and I hoped that none of the stuff I did would bite me back. But I totally forgot that Fragley was still invisible, and I only realized that after school. Are you sure you don't want to hear about my hygiene issues? I'm not sure if Fragley was actually chasing me, but I ran anyways because you could never tell with him. I swear that's the fastest I've ever run, and by the time I made it home, I was out of breath. I grabbed the first can of Coke I found in the fridge, but it was only after I'd taken a huge swig of it that I noticed a note on the back, and it was my handwriting. Do not consume. Poisonous. I totally forgot that I'd used the can to store my extra gender swapping potion Shirag made, and by the time I made it to the bathroom, it was too late. Scream, shriek, scream. If Shirag wanted revenge against me, then I think he succeeded. I mean, I'm sure I'm not invisible, but I'm pretty sure I won't be able to explain this to Mom and Dad. I won't forget to mention this earlier, but the only reason why Shirag got away with brewing the gender swapping potion was because his parents are on a week-long romantic getaway, and they haven't come back yet. On the plus side, all the people I've wronged won't be able to recognize me now. That and I make for a much prettier girl than either Shirag or Tyson. Yeah, I feel like Greg would be like really hot as a girl. Like I'd smash probably. Anyways, I still had to do something about my new look. Cutting my hair wouldn't work because I had nowhere to dispose of it without Mom and Dad noticing. So I had to tie it up with my old Stealthinator headband. Greg, can you take your headband off at the table? That's impolite. I got out of having to take my headband off by claiming that somebody spilled paint in my hair during art class, and I was trying to hide it. But then Roderick spoke up and realized I hadn't been the only one at home when I drank the potion. That must have been painful because I heard you screaming upstairs like a girl. Come on, Greg, you've got to man up or I'm getting the belt out. Okay, I ad-libbed that last part, but yeah, we all know Frank was thinking it. Ironically, I was trying to man up by tying my hair and by talking in a low voice, as the potion made it much higher pitched. I kept praying that Mom and Dad would get distracted by Manny, as he hasn't touched his dinner, and was still dancing. But I guess they thought he was just imitating something he saw on TV. To be honest, I have no idea how I'm going to tell Mom and Dad what happened to me. I'm pretty sure they won't believe me if I told them about the potion. On a related note, I should probably come up with a new name for myself because I'm pretty sure there aren't girls named Greg out there. I ended up settling upon Greta. That's such a dumb name. No, Greta Thunberg. Is she that one, like, a climate activist? Like, or is that somebody else? I don't know. But it should have shows like Gregorina. That rolls off the tongue way better. But also, it was the name of a character in a comic I really like. Okay, fair enough, Greg. Sure, she's technically a crazy stalker, but I don't think anyone will see the link unless they've read that particular comic. Friday. Only today did I realize I didn't have anything to wear. None of my old clothes really fit anymore, and I spent all my money on the potions. So buying a new wardrobe's out of the question. I saw some stuff from Mom's closet, but I think I need a more permanent solution. I then realized I could just steal Abigail's clothes since I turned her into a guy. To do that, I made sure to make her a special treat. I sure hope this works because I used the last of the dancing potion to make lemonade for the Browns. Anyways, when I was done with that, I went over to Riley's to see if he was done doing that stupid dance from yesterday. But as it turns out, he was more excited about something else. Thought Riley had become desperate for a girlfriend after Abigail dumped him, but as it turns out, he was just glad to have somebody to watch this cartoon about colorful unicorns with. I told him I wasn't interested in that show, but I'm not sure if he understood me. At least Riley actually offered to carry my bag for me. I'm not sure if he always sucks up to girls or if his parents want him to be a perfect gentleman, but it worked out. It really helped because I was wearing a skirt. I swear, that's the last time I raided Mom's closet in the dark. No, seriously, how do girls deal with that constant breeze around their unmentionables? Probably wear underwear? I guess I'll get used to it, but it still feels really uncomfortable. On the plus side, I was finally able to sit at the girls' table without being called a creep. I just told everyone I'd recently transferred into the school, and that was enough to spare me from what was going on at the table I used to sit at. What's happening? I don't know. Whoa. It took me a minute to process that. That's the guy who got turned into a girl, and a bunch of guys are paying him money. I think we could read in between the lines. Oh, they even say something about it. Apparently the guys were actually offering to pay Tyson to sleep with them. Yeah, I think I'm done for the day. I don't think I could read anymore. Even though he looks like my Aunt Gretchen, I knew that most boys at the table were desperate for girlfriends, but I never thought they were that desperate. I've said it many times before, and I'll say it again. Most boys my age are just a bunch of wild animals. Now that I'm a girl, I'm not even sure if I want to be in a relationship with a guy. I mean, sure, there's Rowley, but I think he sees other girls as mother figures rather than love interests, and that just doesn't work for me. He has a mommy kink. I thought I'd be able to carry out my plan myself, but I soon realized that I wouldn't be able to take care of both Abigail and Mr. Brown on my own. I ended up inviting Rowley to join me, though I had to think of a cover-up because I knew he'd never work with me if he knew what I actually planned all along. After I noticed that Abigail didn't come to school today, I told Rowley we were going to give her some drinks, and he almost instantly agreed to help me. Alright, kids, what do you want? We're Abigail's classmates when we came to bring her this care package. Believe it or not, but Mr. Brown actually let us in. He said that Abigail's been pretty torn up about her transformation, and she's barely eaten since then. Anyway, I gave Riley some food I told him to offer to Mr. Brown while I went to see Abigail. Honestly, I'm not sure why Abigail was so upset about becoming a guy. She wasn't that bad looking. She's not outright handsome like I used to be, but still. Abigail started whining about her boyfriend Michael ditched her. Dude, no, men over girls for real. Like if I had a girlfriend, yeah, if I had a girlfriend and she turned into a guy, that'd be better. Let's be honest here. Honestly, I'm not sure. Anyway, Abigail started whining about how. Wait, I'm so dumb. Wait a minute. Okay, anyway, I didn't even finish. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I'm having a bit of a stroke right now. Abigail started whining about how her boyfriend Michael ditched her because he didn't want her to people think he was gay, but I shut her up by offering him some lemonade. After I grabbed most of Abigail's clothes, toiletries, and some other stuff I liked, I went downstairs and found that Mr. Brown had also drank lemonade. Raleigh seemed concerned for him, but I said that it would wear off eventually. After we left, Raleigh asked me what I had in my bag. I told him Abigail gave me a bunch of clothes, but he opened it up, grabbed the tube of cherry lip gloss, and ate the whole thing. Raleigh said he's eaten cherry lip gloss at least twice, and he's gotten sick both times. I'm not sure why he still thinks it's made from actual cherry, but someone should tell his mom to stop buying it. After dragging Raleigh back to his house, I went home and discovered that Manny still hasn't snapped out of his weird dance. However, Mom was concerned with my new look. Greg, what is happening with you? Is there something you'd like to tell me? It's a good thing my parents are not like the Jefferson, because I'm pretty sure Raleigh's parents would force me to take the antidote to that potion if it exists. Instead, Mom told me that he'd love me regardless of what gender I identified as. I was really uncomfortable with Manny dancing at the table, but at least one of my secrets is out. I hope he doesn't find out about anything else. Saturday. Remember how I said Sharag's parents were on a week-long romantic getaway? He wasn't come back recently because his dad showed up at our house this morning. This is a group that told me his son was missing, and he was able to find him was a note that accused me of being behind his disappearance. Thought for sure I was screwed until I realized I was Mom. Do you have any idea where your son might be, Mrs. Heffley? Gregory, he probably went to the park. That was enough to throw Mr. Gupta off, and I thanked me enough for my health and left. After discovering that Rowley wasn't home, I decided to see if Mr. Gupta had followed me up on my lead and gone to the park. And sure enough, he had. You think this is funny, Greg Heffley? You think you can get away with treating my son like this? It's just a random kid. This is racism. This is identity theft. Who are you and who's Greg Heffley? Mr. Gupta's strategy, if you could call it, consisted of yelling at the first kid he found who vaguely looked like I used to, and then getting yelled at by the kid's mom, and they were still arguing by the time I left. After I got bored of watching Mr. Gupta, I went over to Rowley's to see if he wanted to play video games, but I don't think we were on the same page. Greta, what did you do to Abigail and her dad? After Rowley said he was pretty sure I drugged the Browns and he was going to tell on me for doing that. I knew this couldn't happen, so I slapped him. Usually in movies, the guy won't fight back after the girl slaps him. But this doesn't apply to Rowley, and attacked me. Though luckily for him, he's even worse at gym. Despite him being fat enough to sumo wrestle, I eventually got the upper hand. You want to play? Let's play the pain game. No, please, have mercy. After I was done tackling Rowley, I asked him if he was going to rat me out. He said he would, so I shoved him some gender-swapping brooch that I'd been carrying down his throat. I've heard a lot of girls tell Raleigh he's cute, but I've never been understand what they saw in him. And trust me, he did not make an attractive girl either. What is this? Okay, I'm just gonna keep reading. As soon as Raleigh saw how he looked, he started crying about how he should never trust me, and his parents were gonna ground him when he found out about this. While he was still blubbering, I used the opportunity to sneak off, since I didn't think I could handle any more of Rowley's whining. When I got home, I turned on the TV to see if anything good was on. However, Dad seemed to have left it tuned on the news, and they're talking about the consequences of the dancing potion I brought to school. Just in, a 5th Westmore student is dead following a mysterious dancing outbreak at the school. More on that later. While our report didn't mention anything that would have made me a suspect, it did say investigations would take place on the weekend, and that the school would reopen on Monday. And here I was, wishing for another break. I was surprised that some of those kids died so quickly, but I realized I should have expected it. After I noticed a putrid smell coming from upstairs, I raced to Maddie's room and found patient 0 dead in his bed. Oh, goodness, that is... I decided not to tell Mom about Maddie, but eventually she found out that sent her into hysterics. I wasn't able to decipher everything she said, but I'm pretty sure she said something about the lungs planning Manny's funeral as quickly as possible. I hope it's not tomorrow. Sunday. And just as I hoped it wouldn't happen, today was Manny's funeral. It took up almost the entire day. It didn't help that I hadn't stolen any dress shoes from Abigail, and I had to wear a pair of Mom's high-heeled shoes, even though I could barely walk in them. Look at Roderick just grinning. He just finds this hilarious. I also like to add that since Manny's funeral was so hastily planned, Mom didn't actually know where he was buried, and he had to walk around the cemetery for what felt like hours. I'm pretty sure I didn't twist my ankles in these shoes, but I'm pretty sure I almost did. Oh, and the funeral itself was extremely pathetic. Us four were the only people in attendance, and the service consisted of Dad giving a 30-second speech about how Manny died too young, followed by a 30-minute lecture from Mom that detailed every single one of his precious moments. Manny, I thought you always looked so cute with Tiggy, and it was such a shame when your father threw it away. If only we could have buried it with you. And there was that. Me and Riley weren't allowed to say anything. Me and Roger weren't allowed to say anything, presumably because Mom thought we'd screw up big time. And that's not to say she wasn't mad at us, though. She later grounded me for a week for throwing some stupid spiky full ball that Manny made. Yes, he actually made me another one as compensation for breaking my video game console again. Your brother made that for you. Though I suppose that's nothing compared to the 2 weeks Roger got suggested for suggesting arresting hell Satan as an inscription for Manny's tombstone. She even lashed out at Dad for throwing out Tiggy, even though he did that years ago. That resulted in a full-blown argument after Dad told Mom he was overreacting. Oh my goodness. And Mom ended up storming off to Grandma, saying she'd rather spend time with someone who actually cared about Manny. On the plus side, Dad left her the punishment Mom gave me and said she'd probably cool off soon. I hope she returns soon, because if not, I'm pretty sure Dad's got to cook for him and Roger and I don't think I'm up for the task. Why would he make him cook for you, Greg? What are you implying there? I could read between the lines. Is it because you're a woman? Interesting. Monday. While I lay in bed last night, I came up with a great idea. Seduce Bryce Anderson and become the most popular girl in school. I realized that I hadn't told anyone I used to be Greg Heffley, so no one would know about all the crap I did in my past. Plus, I know for a fact that most boys my age are super easy to seduce because they're all desperate. I got up really early because I wanted to choose a cute outfit I knew Bryce would like. I never thought I'd end up saying that, but I did a pretty good job in the end. To top it all off, I sprayed some perfume I found in Mom's bathroom. It must have worked because there were tons of guys staring at me the same way I used to look at girls like Holly Hills. However, Bryce wasn't one of them because he was too engrossed in another girl. Okay, calling Riley cute is quite a stretch, as he looked the exact as he used to, just with longer hair. He wasn't even wearing boys' clothes. He was even still wearing boys' clothes, and I wasn't sure why Bryce had suddenly taken an interest in him until I listened to their conversation. So what do you think of Kindness Will Always Win? I think it's Joshy's best song. Come on, I thought it was good, but Joshy Says is still my favorite. At this point, it was at this point I realized I'd fallen into the same trap as every girl who had a crush on Bryce Anderson by not focusing on his interests. Though now I know he likes Joshy, and I stay away from him, as you know, you can pay me to listen to any of Joshy's songs. At least the other girls had been previously unaware of this. I heard that Bryce Anderson likes Joshy. You mean that kid singer? Are you trying to tell me that he's gay? Due to Bryce's popularity, not all the girls believed me, and some of them thought I was trying to ruin his reputation because he rejected my love confession. But I think they understood Bryce was taken because I witnessed him rejecting Bailey Anthony's confession in the hall. Bailey, I hate to brace you, but we can't be together because there's someone else in my life that I love. As soon as I heard that, I knew Bryce was talking about Riley, and I decided to confront the latter about it. I can't believe it. You, Rowley Jefferson, are dating Bryce Anderson? Actually, it's Rowlett now. Bryce and I both like Josh, and he says he prefers fuller-figured girls, so it works out. What kind of name is Rowlett? That sounds like a Battlemon name. How the hell have you managed to get the hottest guy in the school? Listen, Greta, if you're not okay with it, we're not friends anymore. I'm a little shocked about how well I've taken to being a girl. That's probably thanks to the years of observing their behavior and, of course, reading the Slumber Party Pals series. So one of the best things I found in Abigail's room was a near-complete collection of those books, and I just had to take them, because I had nothing to read since I'm doing my Underpants Bandits books, because she thought I was too old for them. When I got home, I remembered that one of the books had the titular characters in a similar situation to me, and I thought that reading it would provide some help. So in the book, The Slumber Party Pals, Katie and Lindsay both have a crush on this guy named Justin, who prefers Katie. This prompts Lindsay to break them up several times during the story, which culminates in a huge argument between her and Casey. Used all my lip gloss because you knew I wanted to wear it to the roller rink. And well, you only wanted to wear it because you knew Justin would be there. But in the end, Katie and Lindsay realize the true value of friendship, and everything goes well for them. Until the cliffhanger ending reappears in book 9. I'm sorry I used all your lip gloss. I'm sorry I kissed Justin at the roller rink. Wait, what? Honestly, Katie and Lindsay have fallen out so many times that they make my friendship with Riley look stable. But I only seem to argue about relatively minor stuff, while me and Riley have more important issues at hand. Here's the thing, I'm not in love with Bryce. I've never been, and I think he's just obnoxious as ever. Honestly, I thought it'd be really easy to seduce him and become the queen of the school. Riley just had to ruin everything. Though it's not like he's about to become the next Holly Hills, because I told Bailey that Bryce likes fat girls, and I bet his popularity will plummet overnight. I was about to read another Slumber Party Pals book when Dad called me from downstairs. Since Mom still hadn't come back, he confirmed my worst fears. Well, Gra, you're the lady of the house now, so you'll be making us dinner tonight. Not this stuff again. I asked Dad why he wouldn't make anything, and he said that cooking is a woman's role. He told me if I'd rather be a boy, he'd sign me up for swim team and recreational soccer again. And that's how I end up spending the entire evening in the kitchen while Dad works on his miniature Civil War battlefield and Roderick took a nap. Since Mom never let me into the kitchen when she cooked, I had no idea what to do, and I ended up making some instant mac and cheese, but it was the only thing that seemed relatively... Wait a minute, am I even recording? Oh, sorry about that. I'm having a day today. I ended up making mac and cheese because it was the only thing that seemed relatively easy. So I forgot to mention this, but I don't like mac and cheese anymore. Nobody's talking to you now. Shut up and eat. The mac and cheese wasn't very good. Making it was still 100 times better than soccer practice or swim team. I think Dad's a little disappointed that he's gone from 3 sons to just 1, but I'll happily fill Mom's role if I don't have to man up anymore. Tuesday. Remember how I said Bryce wasn't going to be the most popular guy in our grade for long after his love for Joshy and fat girls became widely known? Well, my prediction came true. Bryce, how could you deceive us like this? We thought you were way cooler than that. Are you really going to ditch you just because I like fat girls more than skinny ones? And that was basically it for Bryce. I hope he's happy with Riley because he won't be able to easily regain his lost popularity. With Bryce out of the picture, I had to find a new guy who could help me become the most popular girl in school. Unfortunately for me, the pickings here are pretty slim. I thought about dating Abigail's ex, Michael Sampson, but I found him with Tim and Charlie Bellinger sitting at the couple table and acting like Abigail never existed. Dude, Michael, he looking really fine today. He has a nice jawline. I don't know what prompted me to say that. Anyway, after watching Michael and Cherry for a few minutes, I was starting to feel nauseous, so I moved on. I decided to start off by listing the well-known guys in our grade other than Bryce. The only ones I could really come up with were Darren Walsh, Cody Johnson, and Jamar Law. All 3 of them were well-known for the wrong reasons. I couldn't imagine anyone would want to date them. Apart from those idiots, the only other guys I thought of were Alex Aruda and his fellow nerds, and the guys I used to sit with at lunch. I discarded the idea of Alex and his friends because they probably all think love is a mental illness and that statistics are way more interesting. As for the lunch guys, the fact that they're obsessing over Tyson says everything you need to know about them. There's also Patty Farrell, but I'm pretty sure she wouldn't react well to learning who I am. Plus, she seems more interested in protesting the school food than relationships anyways. Avoid the calf. At this point, I decided to give up and brag Riley to let me have a turn with Bryce, but he wouldn't budge. You're just jealous. Riley said he hadn't told Bryce about what I did to Abigail, but that he'd do it if I kept bothering him. So now I've got to make sure he doesn't tell anyone, because if not, I could lose my one chance of becoming popular. When I was walking home, I decided that the best way to stop my secret from getting out was to buy more of those mystery potions to hope that one of them turns Riley into a slug or something. Wednesday, I overheard Bryce and Riley talking at lunch today, and I got an idea of how to deal with Riley. Are you excited for the Jossie concert? Yeah, I'll show up at your place first. Since my potions hadn't arrived, I planned on reusing the lemonade I gave the Browns, and I knew just the person for the job. Give me 3 pairs of your undies and I'll do it. Are you okay with that? How about no? Is there something else you want, like an antidote? Shirag? Oh, I didn't do the Indian accent. I wasn't sure it was Shirag. Alright. Shirag then told me he was actually starting to enjoy being invisible, as he could do whatever he wanted without being caught. Eventually, I was able to tempt him with some Playboy magazines I found in Roderick's room and Abigail's bed sheets. Huh? Don't ask me what he planned on doing with the latter. The plan involved Shirag sneaking into the Jefferson's house and getting Riley to drink the tainted lemonade. Dude, get Riley to drink the dirty Sprite. He'd be really lit. I left the rest up to him. After I gave him the lemonade and the bedsheets, I went home to find Uncle Gary at the front door. Hey, cutie, if I could rearrange the alphabet, I'd put you and I together. I'm surprised Uncle Gary isn't on the FBI watch list, given his behavior around girls. After I called out Uncle Gary for hitting on me, I asked him what he wanted, and he said he landed the job as an entertainer at adult parties. But they were actually looking for women, and the only reason he got hired is because his resume under the name... He sent his resume under the name Melody Anglestar, and attached a photo of himself dressed in drag. As soon as I heard that story, I knew I could put the gender bender juice to good use and that rhymed, invited Uncle Gary inside for a drink. As I predicted, Uncle Gary didn't look much like an actual woman, but at least he was happy with the result. I'm not sure how successful he'll be with his new job, though. Uncle Gary left. I went over to Shirog's to see if he'd carry out my plan. He told me that while the mission was a success, it hadn't entirely gone to plan. I told Shirog to hide in the Jefferson's house so he could watch the scene unfold and report back. He told me Mr. Jefferson had arrived home early and he ended up drinking that tainted lemonade. As a result, he got stuck doing that weird dance where there was no snapping him out of it. While this wasn't exactly what I wanted, I hope Rowley realized the danger of betraying me once he learns his dad won't stop dancing. Thursday. I didn't see Rowley all morning. I thought he hadn't showed up for school. I was about to thank my lucky stars for that until I went to the bathroom and learned that I shouldn't have been so optimistic. Greta Heffley, I know what you did to my dad last night. I tried to reason with Rowley, but he kept insisting that I was responsible for giving Mr. Jefferson that lemonade. I wasn't even anywhere near your house when that stuff happened, and why do you think I'm the cause of everything bad in your life? I know you don't like me, but still. You think I'm stupid, Greta? I know you don't like my dad, and I know you got Abigail to do the same dance with that lemonade. After we both shouted ourselves hoarse, Rowley said he wanted to come over to his house, so we could fight. Yeah, I don't think this is how most girls solve their problems. I'm not sure why Rowley wanted to fight me, given how badly he lost last time. Claimed he just learned several new moves in his karate class, but I don't think much of that, considering he's been a yellow belt for the past 5 years. Wasn't he a gold belt? I feel like I remember him being a gold belt in dog days, but okay. Anyway, Rowley was actually pretty serious about the fight, as he changed to his karate uniform once I showed up. So you have chosen your destiny, mortal. I bet Rowley just thought he just looked like the boss from some Japanese fighting game. But it didn't matter since you got badly beaten again. Do you still feel tough now? No, help me. After Rowley got beaten, he complained that he hadn't prepared himself yet, and then I jumped the start. But I wasn't going to listen to him to any more of his whining. I pulled out my secret weapon. My potions arrived today, and I stuffed them in my shoes so Rowley couldn't find them. I thought this was a guarantee that I won, but I underestimated Rowley's strength. That wasn't enough to smash the test tubes. He just shoves them, I guess, which made the potions unusable. But I had one more trick up my sleeve. Rowley, I'd like to apologize for what happened for your dad. But you don't understand. We had to miss the Jawsy concert because we had to take him to the hospital. Shortly after that, Rowley broke down, which gave me plenty of time to go through his stuff and escape. I ended up taking a load of Rowley's money to compensate for the potions I bought, as well as his diary and several of his video games. I'm not sure why Rowley was so upset about losing his dad, considering he had tons of cool video games I didn't have. Until now, that is. Once I got home, I decided to play Rowley's copy of Brutal Souls 7. I'm not sure how he got his parents to buy him such a violent game, but I was looking forward to playing it since Mom never let me have it. But just as I was about to beat the first level, Dad came home. Greta, we're running out of food in the fridge. You and Roger should go buy some more. I asked Dad why we couldn't just eat out, and he said grocery shopping is also a woman's role. Beginning to think that Dad's only understanding of female behavior comes from Mom and whatever stereotypes existed when he was younger, because I'm starting to think he would mold me into a housewife. I'm pretty sure the only reason he sent Roderick with me was because the supermarket isn't that close to our house, and I haven't gotten a driver's license. Though on the bright side, at least Dad's not forcing me to play sports anymore. I wasn't expecting to run into anyone at the supermarket, but I ended up seeing Mom of all people, and she wasn't alone either. This speaks to the dead ritual works well, but I still miss talking Manny in person. If you want, I actually know an ancient necromancy ritual. Would you like to hear it? My mom just acted like me and Roderick didn't exist and continued talking to Aunt Audra about resurrecting Manny via witchcraft or something similar. I thought Mom would start paying more attention to me and Roderick after Manny died. It was clear that he's still her favorite child by far. After dinner, which I made, of course, I decided I'd crack open Rowley's diary and see if he'd written anything that could possibly incriminate me. Fortunately for me, he had. Dear Diary, I'm pretty sure that Greta did something bad to Abigail because she said on the news that she and her dad were still doing that weird dance. I thought it looked fun when the kids were at school did it, but I think Greta's responsible for that too. I don't know, as I told Greta I knew what she did, and she got really mad and hit me. And she beat me up and made me drink a potion that turned me into a girl. There's more of those pages, mainly towards the back of Rowley's diary. Let me just say that Dad's shredder ended up having a field day. After I chatted all the pages detailing my Miss Demers. I'm sorry, I'm illiterate. I can't read that word, too big. I returned to Rowley's diary to see if he'd written anything else about me. But the rest of it was entirely meaningless nonsense about Dino Blazers, Joshy, and Bryce. Dear Diary, Bryce is the best boyfriend ever. Today he bought 2 copies of Josh's new song, Kindness Will Always Win, and he gave one to me. Is he the sweetest? Another good thing about Bryce is that, unlike with Greta, my parents actually like him. I know this is because when I told my dad about Bryce, he said, Bryce and his family are good people. But at this point, I had enough of Rowley's diary, and I buried at the bottom of the recycling bin. So if anyone wants to read an incomplete account of Rowley's life, they can fish it out of there. I spent the rest of the night playing Brutal Souls 7 because I desperately needed some palate cleanser after reading Rowley's diary. Friday, I used to think that Rowley's inability to see evil in anyone was a problem, but it finally came in handy today. Are you sure Greta didn't steal your diary? From what I've heard, she seems like nothing but trouble. No, I don't think so. I know she's mean sometimes, but she just gets jealous really easy. I give her some time and she'll return to normal. After hearing this, I decided to leave Rowley alone. It's not like I even care about Bryce anymore, as he's now at the bottom of the popularity charts thanks to his love for fat girls and becoming known around the school. That left me with finding another guy who could help boost my popularity. It was like finding a needle in a haystack, well, until I found a note in my locker. It took me a half second to realize the note was from Christopher Brownfield, as his attempt at sneaking around only made him stick out even more. I later found out that he'd actually done this several times. I also sent Alyssa, Bailey, Erica, and Holly notes, but you're the only one who answered. So, you went for a date Saturday night? Well, sure, I guess I'll be there. I'm not sure how popular I'd become by dating a guy who weighs something like 250 pounds, but I thought it'd work because a couple seemed to be big news at my school. The girls at my lunch table didn't agree with me, though. You accepted a date from that guy? He's been trying to hit on me for the past 2 years. Okay, I hear I've heard that he also has problems keeping his hands to himself around girls. I thought that was the only time I'd be surprised today, but I ended up running into somebody I didn't expect to see when I got home. How was your school date today? On the plus side, Miss Jefferson offered to make dinner for us, which meant I could play more Brutal Souls 7. But I would have offered to cook anyways if I knew she'd be making us watercress salad. Here you go. In Mrs. Jefferson's defense, her watercress salad wasn't quite as bad as the one Grandpa makes, but it was still very far from good, and I still hated it. I didn't help that Roger decided to torment me and the way he does it whenever we stay at Grandma's. Greta loves watercress salad. Fortunately, I only ate one serving of watercress salad because before Mr. Jefferson made us some brownies for dessert. But in my excitement to get rid of the watercress salad aftertaste, I forgot that she always bakes spinach into her brownies. And just when I thought I couldn't get any worse, Dad came home from work and he and Jefferson started making out on the sofa, which made defeating the third boss in Brutal Souls very uncomfortable. Can you two get a room or something? So there's an elephant in the room, and I want to address. There's an elephant in the room that I wanted to address, and once Miss Jefferson had finished making out with that, I immediately asked her about it. I thought if you're here, who's here with Rowley? I thought you never left him home alone. What do you mean, Rowley? She's at Bryce's because she said she didn't want to see you. Don't worry, I understand. For what I heard, you two were fighting over a boy, Greta. This is totally normal behavior for girls, and your mother and I can attest for that. Mr. Jefferson proceeded to tell me about how she and Mom got into a huge fight over this guy when they were in middle school. Given the circumstances, I wonder if the guy in the question was Dad. Speaking of Dad, he was the only one who wanted Mr. Jefferson to bathe him. I never understood why she insists on giving Rowley baths, even though he's perfectly capable of doing it himself. She offered to do the same for me and Roger, but we both declined for obvious reasons. Oh, and Dad was really eager about being bathed by Mrs. Jefferson. That was really especially annoying because I was using my turn to determine how I'd tackle my upcoming date with Christopher Brownfield. Can you please give me about 5 more minutes, please? Greta, are you done in there? I didn't see Dad and Mrs. Jefferson after they went into the bathroom, and I only presumed they looked like stale raisins when they got out. Can't recall Dad ever doing something like this with Mom, which made me wondering if their relationship was really deteriorating over time. Come to think of it, that's why Mom started watching all those romantic comedy movies with Dad, though his general apathy towards them speaks for itself. The only reason why I'm bringing that up is because I decided to watch one of them in hopes of understanding how girls act on dates. I wasn't expecting a cinematic masterpiece, but I was still disappointed when I saw it. Oh, Brandon, I love you so much. Kiss me again, you sexy beast. Yeah, it erratically said sexy beast. That's hilarious. And the movie was about as basic as you could get and involved a ditzy, airheaded girl falling in love with an unrealistically perfect guy. After a few minutes, the main characters were starting to remind me of Rowley and Bryce, and I shut it off. At this point, I decided to forego some research for the date, and as winging as it seemed like a much more viable, I was making it seem like a much more viable option. I mean, most boys at my age are desperate for girlfriends, so that they wouldn't care if they didn't bring any, so that they wouldn't, wait, dude, I'm having a day today. I mean, most boys my age are so desperate for girlfriends that they wouldn't care if I didn't bring any money or said I hated something they liked. Saturday, my date with Christopher Brownfield was today, and he told me to meet him at the park. Given how quickly he scheduled the date, I wonder if this was some kind of prank until I saw him show up. The first step was the arcade, because Christopher told me he'd heard I liked video games. He thought he could impress me by playing Thunderbolt, but he wasn't very good at it. Dang it, you lose. After seeing Christopher's underwhelming performance, I decided to show him how to play the game properly. You win! Christopher was impressed with my score, and he proceeded to tell me that I could actually make big money doing that. Actually, the best gamer girls sell their bath water. Have you considered doing that? Huh? Okay, I'm not interested anymore. After we were done with the arcade, we had lunch at Papa Tony's, though we ended up getting 2 separate pizzas because Christopher insisted we get one with pineapple and anchovies on it. Huh? See, pineapple is fine. Hawaiian pizza is good. It doesn't belong on pizza, but it tastes good on pizza, if that makes sense. But anchovies! You know, fine, if you like fish, it's fine. But pineapple and anchovies go one way. Are you sure you don't want any of my pizza? It's really good. No thanks, I'm on a diet. I thought the date was going good, and I thought the date was going to end there, but Christopher said he wanted to invite me to watch a movie. I was pretty excited about the prospect of doing that until he realized he wanted to watch an X-rated movie. He must be at least 18 to watch Uranus is Burning. May I see your IDs, please? I forgot my ID at home, but I can assure you I'm over 18. To make a long story short, the ticket guy didn't buy Christopher's lie and didn't end up watching a movie. Not that I missed anything, because I'm pretty sure Uranus is Burning is rated X for a reason. Thought I'd be able to finally go home, but Christopher told me that since we were at the mall, we might as well walk around. What really happened is that he dragged me into Victoria's Secret so he could buy me some underwear as a present. Alright, how about this one? Do you like lace better? I'm not trying any of that stuff around, especially not with you. I told Christopher that he might as well get a bra that tame his giant man boobs, but he wasn't listening to me. After we were finally done there, we returned to the park and he actually said something good for once. You know, Greta, I'd like to say I really enjoyed our little date today. Wait, really? But of course I should have known that was too good to be true. I mean, I really need to take my mind off something. Tyson told me on Thursday, who knew it was so easy for girls to get pregnant? Usually in movies, this would be the scene where the girl starts crying and slaps the guy. But I felt even angrier than that, and I did something I never thought I'd do. Oh, come on, dude, that is just brutal. That's more than an ouch. That's just straight cock and ball torture right there. Actually, there's a ton of guys I've wanted to do that to, and I haven't done it yet because and the only reason I haven't done it is because Dad he's saying boys shouldn't do it to each other. Of course, that rule no longer applies to me, and I hope Christopher learned a valuable lesson from that kick. He probably won't be able to impregnate any more girls now. When I finally got home, I discovered that Mom had come back, but she wasn't the only one who returned. I thought the necromancy ritual oh my goodness, Manny is back. Satan's returned. I thought the necromancy ritual Aunt Aruda recommended was as fake as all the other crap she believes in, but it must have worked because Manny was well and alive. Mom said that Manny came back to life because he loved us all so much. Why don't I have our explanation for a second? Besides, if Manny did love us, then he wouldn't continue calling me Bubby, even though it's quite obvious that I'm not a guy. I don't even know how he recognized me, since I was still a guy when I gave him the dancing potion. I told Mom that Manny was misgendering me, and she said that she'd get him to call me Sissy instead. But that had no effect on Manny, and he still continued to call me Bubby. Hey, Bubby, give me more ketchup. Once again, I complained to Mom, but this time she told me that Manny was only 3 and I had to give him time to adapt. I tried to tell her that he was deliberately referring to me as Bubby to be annoying, but she wouldn't budge, not even after I showed her this drawing she gave me today as an apology. I'll not call Greg Bobby because it makes him mad. Bubby! From Manny. I know Manny's only 3, but his inability to understand remorse still amazes me. At least I'm not the only one who's got something against Manny. That later got into an argument with Mom after she refused to tell him how she resurrected Manny. I considered telling him about Aunt Audra's necromancy ritual, but I decided anything against it because she refuses to believe anything is supernatural. Susan, do you really expect me to just believe that Manny came back from the dead? He's your child just as much as Roderick and Greta are. You should be happy he's back. After this, Dad asked Mom if Manny was his biological son, and she forced him to sleep on the sofa. I'm pretty sure she wishes he'd married Mrs. Jefferson instead at this point. Sunday. I first thought Dad's question was a little far-fetched, but I'm starting to think he has a point again. For instance, Manny called me Bubby again this morning, and I told Dad to punch him accordingly. Fortunately, I only got this. Well, Manny, Greta's a girl, so you can't do that. You can't call her Bubby. I'm only 3. I've never seen Dad yell at Manny before, even though I know he yelled at me and Roger countless times when we were Manny's age. I think he's actually afraid of yelling at Manny because he knows Manny will rat him out to Mom and she'll make him sleep on the sofa again. And in case you're wondering why I don't think Manny's Dad's favorite child, is because I've almost seen no interaction between the two of them. Ever since me and Roger could barely walk, Dad's been trying to get us to do all kinds of outdoorsy stuff. Whereas I've never seen him make Manny do the same, though I reckon that's because he can't. I'll be taking the boys camping this weekend. What do you think, Susan? Actually, Manny can't go. He has swim lessons on Saturday and dance class the day after. I don't understand why Mom enrolled Manny in all these extracurricular activities, since he's already struggling in preschool, and I doubt those other classes are helping him. Something I'd really like to point out is that Manny doesn't look much like me, Dad, Roger, or anyone in the Heffley family, for that matter. I've been through all the photos, albums at the Gammy's house, and I haven't found anyone who looks remotely like Manny. So if you're wondering why I look so different, I draw him so differently from me and Roger, it's because of that. When I was little, Roger used to tell me that I was adopted, and I fell for that way more times than I'd like to admit. I wish I could say the same for Manny, because I'm pretty sure he isn't, because Mom spent months hyping up his birth, and that can't be so easy to fake. And just in case you thought Manny inherited looks from Mom's side of the family, the only person on that side who looks like him is Uncle Larry, and I'm pretty sure he's actually not related to us. Guess who's here? Uncle Larry. Going back to today, Dad's punishment had no effect on Manny, and he continues to call me Bubby throughout the rest of the morning. Hey, Bubby, get me some cereal. Since Mom and Dad were useless, I decided to take matters into my own hands by screwing with Manny's cereal. I put his milk first, followed by the cereal, in hopes to see what would happen if he continued to call me Bubby. But Manny just had to ruin everything once again. Anyone who puts the milk before the cereal, there's a special place in hell for them. Bubby ruined my cereal! As soon as Mom saw what was going on, she gave me a week-long video game ban. I tried to reason with her, but it devolved into a huge argument. You think I'm stupid, Greta? I know what you did with Manny's cereal. Hell, I wouldn't eat it if you made it that way. Honestly, I thought you were more responsible of that. Mom, he's been calling me Bubby nonstop for the past day. Aren't you going to do something about that? In the end, Mom told me she couldn't trust me with Manny, and she took him shopping with her. Looking back at it, I should have known better than to argue with a woman who writes a negative review for every restaurant that gets her order wrong. Then again, the fact that she's willing to let Manny get away with all manners of misdemeanors speaks volume about her obsession with them. Oh, I said the word right, misdemeanors. Huh. Okay. Once Mom left, I decided to play Twisted Fighters. So I remember my awful date with Christopher Brownfield while kicking him in the nuts felt pretty satisfying. Wait, I read that wrong. Until I remember my awful date with Christopher Brownfield. While kicking him in the nuts felt pretty satisfying, I also wanted him to drink the gender bender juice, so I went to the kitchen to check on my stash. When I opened up the fridge, I discovered that all the cans were gone. I guess that's what I get for leaving them unattended for almost an entire day, so I written do not drink warnings on the cans. There was only one person who could have sold them. Roderick. Alright, give him back. That's good lemonade. At first, Roderick denied stealing the gender bender juice, but he eventually admitted to doing so and claimed it worked well as a prank device. He said he'd showed the cans to his friend Warren. They used them to prank people in the Home Depot parking lot. Roderick said he had 2 cans left. But he'd only give them back if I handed out loaded diaper flyers on the Crossland High School campus or wearing a Playboy bunny suit. I refused to do them, and since Roderick didn't give me any other options, looks like I have to sneak into his room and steal them when he's not looking. Either that, or I'll cross my fingers and hope he drinks them, so he has to dress as a Playboy bunny. I ended up playing Twisted Fighters until Roderick's band arrived for practice, at which point I went out. At first I thought of going to Rowley's to apologize until I found out he had already invited Bryce over. So Rowlett, is Joshy the cutest guy in the world? No, you're cuter. Yeah, okay. Rowley left his window open so I could hear him and Bryce giggling like idiots about Joshy. After a minute of listening to them, okay, I felt nauseous and I returned home. I thought I'd have to sit through Roderick's band practice until Dad offered to take me to the mall. Alright, Greta, which one do you like better, flowers or polka dots? Can we go get actual clothes, not the drugstore? By the time we got home, loaded diaper practice had ended, but Mom still hadn't returned. She didn't come back until just before dinner, and by that time, Dad was on to her. So let me get this straight, Susan. You were shopping for 6 hours? Actually, I was enrolling Manny back in his activities. They just enrolled him after he died. It wasn't long before an argument erupted between them. Susan, Manny's already failing preschool. If you're gonna spend my money, why not get a goddamn tutor? Come on, Frank. When will you admit that Manny's destined to do great things? These classes will help him. Actually, I won't, because he isn't. I've tried the same with Roderick and Greta, and I got no results. I should have spent all that money on Civil War memorabilia instead. Are you writing Manny off entirely based off his siblings' failures? I can assure you that he's different from them. Little I know, Manny is in fact different from me and Raj, though not in the way Mom intended. Eventually, Mom got up, grabbed Manny and a duffel bag, and walked out the door to our minivan. To my surprise, it was running and somebody was already in it. So, Susie, let me guess, Frank's having a cow again? Should have known earlier that there was something going on with Uncle Larry much earlier, given the resemblance to Manny and that belief that he wasn't actually related to Mom. And if that wasn't enough, Dad was furious upon seeing him here. Larry frickin' Cunningham, I knew you never fully disappeared from my life, you ungrateful bastard. Mom didn't listen to him, and she got in the van, which sped off into the night, and it was only then I remembered she hadn't made us dinner yet. If you want to know how mad Dad was, he shut himself in the furnace room for the rest of the night, even after I tried to bribe him with dinner. He still wouldn't come out. Are you sure you're not hungry? I've got your soup and it's starting to get cold. Just leave me alone, Greta. Monday. I left for school early, partially because I wasn't sure if Dad was still mad at me, mainly because I wanted to go to Shirog's to work on the plan. I first thought of giving Christopher the gender bender potion, but Shirog came up with something better. You know, that stuff in the lemonade Mr. Jefferson drank? Well, I liked it so much I made more of it. Oh yeah, I guess we could use that instead. I left the rest of the plan up to Shirog because I was starting to run late and I had gym class for the first period. This is probably the first time I was looking forward to that class, mainly because I wouldn't have to wrestle. Actually, us girls don't have to do any contact sports, and I'm totally fine with that because contact sports are the most barbaric things ever. I'm sure gymnastics are pretty hard, but they're a million times better than getting pummeled by Bounty Wells in a Victorian-era bathing suit. Anyways, I think letting Shirog do his own thing was a mistake, because once he arrived at the beginning of gym class, he set his sights beyond just Christopher. I don't know where Shirog got all these rowdy riot cans from. You know that it's basically catnip for guys, as pandemonium erupted as soon as they saw those cans. I drank some rowdy riot, and I thought it tasted like refrigerator piss one time. So don't ask me why those guys were fighting over 4 or 5 cans, what they thought was that drink. The reason Mr. Underwood didn't hear the boys fighting was because he was making us girls do warm-up drills, and he was playing upbeat music in the hopes of motivating us. This can is mine and mine only. If you want one, go buy one yourself. The fighting stopped by the time Mr. Underwood split into pairs and went to check on the guys. But when he did, the news wasn't good. I'm not sure why the school didn't close down last time I used that dancing potion, but I'm pretty sure I'll get some time off once Vice Principal Roy learns about this. After I did this, I realized that Christopher Brownfield didn't have gym class with me, so I told Shirog to give it to him at lunch. But once again, he overdid it, and it's spreading. There's more. Luckily, school got canceled for the rest of the day after the teacher discovered that the guys were still dancing when lunch ended. I thought I'd be able to go home and beat Brutal Soul 7 before Dad returned from work, but I ran into someone I had hoped to avoid today. Greg Heffley, I know what you did today. You were coming over to my house to explain everything else, where I'll tell everyone what you did. It's a good thing Missy Jefferson wasn't home because our argument soon escalated. I was furious at Raleigh for calling me by my own name, though I soon found out why he was doing it. But not that made it any better. I thought girls were nice, but now I know they're a bunch of manipulators. They've corrupted you, Greg. We both need that antidote to the horrid potion immediately. I'll have you know that I actually enjoy being a girl around me, and you can't change that. And besides, you're not my friend, so what control do you have over me? Unfortunately, Raleigh kept threatening me to get the antidote for the gender bender juice, and I thought that was screwed for sure. Until I noticed a test tube poking out from under the sofa, and I realized that one of my potions had actually survived our last fight. While Raleigh was still ranty with the stuff we did when we were boys, I shoved down his throat and he was seduced to a human bowling pin. His limbs just fell off. I'm not really sure why there's a potion that makes a drinker's limbs fall off, but it made getting rid of Raleigh a million times easier. All I had to do was smother him with a pillow and stuff him in a garbage bag before burying him in the Jefferson's backyard. Once I was done with that, I stuffed Raleigh's limbs into another bag and chucked that in his neighbor's green bin. I'm sure no one finds. I'm sure hope no one finds that Rowley's dead. But just in case, I left a note in his writing about how he ran away because he was unsure about his sexuality. I also took the rest of the money because he sure doesn't need it anymore. When I got home, I realized I wasn't the only one who got sent early because Roderick was there too. I tried to tell Roderick that he couldn't beat up girls, but he proceeded to brag about his exploits with the gender bender juice. According to him, he's used it on at least a dozen people, including Heather Hills and several other girls who rejected his love confessions. Now, don't ask me how he didn't get caught, since he's not exactly discreet. I didn't see Dad at all today, even though I know he didn't go to work today since Mrs. Jefferson wasn't home either. I'm pretty sure they were doing exactly what you think they were up to. I ended up playing video games until I heard a knock on the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, and I was truly surprised when I found out who it was. "Look who came to see you again!" I eventually tried to confront Mom about the incident with Uncle Larry. She claimed that he was related to her, and she'd gone to his house so she could cool off. I didn't believe her story at all, and I called Dad to confront her. Fortunately, he sent Mrs. Jefferson over, and everything got worse from there. Ploopy! Manny, you can't say that! I'm gonna get demonetized now. I think that Manny calling Mr. Jefferson the P word speaks volumes about what he and Mom think of her. Remember how Mrs. Jefferson told me about how she and Mom fought over a guy? Well, the guy was Dad after all. I can't believe it, Linda. I thought you got over your crush on Frank, but here you are living in my house, living with my husband, and trying to raise my kids. Just who do you think you are trying to take my place? Susan, you've shown that you love Manny more than Frank. If you really loved him, would you abandon him like you just did? Would you cheat on him with a bad comedian dying it won't make it go away? Then Dad showed up and he made a quick word of Mom. "Susan, get that buck-toothed brat out of my house and don't even think about bringing him again. He's your son, Frank. You can't talk about him like that." "No, he isn't, and don't act like I don't know what you and Larry were up to. I saw you and I know your little secret. Ploopy!" After this, Mom and Manny went outside, but only so Mom could taunt Dad, or at least try and do that. I don't really know why Mom thought the sight of making out with Uncle Larry would make Dad jealous, and I thought it was more disgusting than anything, really. The worst part is that they did it in our driveway for 10 minutes before Dad threatened to call the cops on them. When they finally left, Mrs. Jefferson offered to make me a grilled cheese, and I gladly accepted her offer because I needed something to distract me from the unholy trinity. I sure hope I don't run into them again. Tuesday. Contrarily to yesterday, Dad and Jefferson got up really early so I could pour over some paperwork. Dad said he was signing divorce papers, so I guess I won't be seeing Mom around for much longer. Since I was still wondering why Dad hadn't told me about Uncle Larry, and when I asked him, he said he might as well tell me the whole story. I don't think Dad's told me any stories when I was 8, but this had to be one of the most eye-opening things I've ever heard. I'm gonna take a little swig of my lemonade before we start this. I love Wendy's lemonade. Anyways, Dad claimed he was one of the most popular kids in his grade during middle school. I'm not really sure why, but I guess beauty standards were much lower back then. Mrs. Jefferson chimed in and told me that she and Mom both had crushes on Dad back then. And they argued about him all the time. She said that almost all the girls in school wanted to date him, which troubles me because neither me nor Roderick have ever found ourselves in that situation. Come on, Linda, you're too prim and proper. Frank likes girls with a wild side like me. Besides, we like the same things, and I know the kids will be beautiful. Susan, I know Greg is pretty beautiful, so is Roderick. Susan, do you even like Frank, or do you just want to be popular? Do you know anything about the Civil War? I don't think so. Eventually, Miss Jefferson won out, and she and Dad started dating at the end of 8th grade. It was pretty obvious that Mom was jealous of them, though. While Mrs. Jefferson said Mom avoided her during summer vacation, she was back to normal by the time high school came around. However, Dad said this was also around the time that Uncle Larry transferred into school. According to him, Uncle Larry was a huge loser who wanted to be the class clown, even though his jokes didn't make any sense. Basically, Uncle Gary was Dad's version of Fragley. "I got a fish, would you like to make a wish? I got a fish, would you like to make a wish? I got a fish, would you like to make a wish?" Okay. Apparently, Uncle Gary was also into black magic for some unknown reason. That's what drew Mom to him. Well, that's how Mandy probably got resurrected. She claimed that she actually thought his jokes were funny, but everyone at school knew she only began dating him in hopes that she could make Dad fall in love with her. After a few months, Mom began to have actual feelings for Uncle Larry, and the two began dating. Mrs. Jefferson and Dad thought their relationship was finally safe, but there was something they hadn't anticipated. Here's the thing. Mrs. Jefferson's family was pretty rich, but Dad wasn't, and still isn't. They didn't approve of Dad dating Mrs. Jefferson. They wanted her to marry Mr. Jefferson, despite him being 10 years older than her. Admittedly, he was already a successful businessman at this point, but neither Dad nor Mrs. Jefferson approved of our parents' decision. I know I'm not as rich as Robert, but I love Linda, and I know he doesn't. Come back when you're rich, and we'll discuss this again. But, Daddy, I love Frank. Can't you make me marry that old geezer without my approval? Hey, who you calling an old geezer? I got a BBC in my pants. Okay, I didn't need to add that, but I just have an impulse. Sorry, guys. Eventually, Mrs. Jefferson's parents banned her from seeing Dad, which prompted him to buy tons of scratch tickets in the hope of impressing her with tons of money. Unfortunately, all he managed to do was get Uncle Gary addicted to those tickets. This was also around the time that Uncle Gary disappeared without a trace, and Mom's crush on Dad reemerged. Without Mrs. Jefferson out of the picture, Dad began to develop feelings for Mom, and they eventually married, though he claimed he never forgot about Mrs. Jefferson during that time. While Dad said he and Mom were initially happy together, she got bored of him right around when I was born, and I certainly remember the two of them acting all lovey-dovey around me, and I thought it was absolutely disgusting. It was actually one of Mom's attempts to rekindle her and Dad's relationship. I love you so much, and I love you so much. By the time I was 8, Mom and Dad's relationship was really rocky, and the only reason why Dad hadn't divorced her was because he knew Grandpa and Uncle Joe would never let him live her down. It didn't help that Mom used to work as a preschool teacher, and she knew she'd get custody of me and Roderick after the divorce. In short, Dad was stuck with Mom, even though they spent almost no time together. This all culminated in her randomly announcing that she was pregnant for the 3rd time, which shocked Dad to no end. Guess what, boys? You're gonna have a new baby brother soon. Dad maintains his belief that Manny's birth and the days that followed were the worst of his life. Not only was he forced to pretend that someone else's son was his own, but Manny's biological father was also in attendance, while Dad didn't know it at the time. Uncle Larry had returned and began showing up at Mom's family gatherings shortly after. It's a boy. While Dad initially dismissed Uncle Gary as yet another of Mom's many strange relatives, it didn't take him long to realize Uncle Larry was that weird kid Mom dated in high school, and that coupled with his bizarre fixation on Manny led Dad to believe that Uncle Gary was Manny's father. You know, you got some pretty great sons, Frank, especially Manny. What I wouldn't do to have a boy like that. Unfortunately, Mom didn't have noticed it, as she threatened to destroy Dad's miniature Civil War battlefield if he tried to tell anyone that Uncle Larry and Manny were related, or that Manny wasn't his son. With the deaths of Manny and Mrs. Jefferson, Dad thought he'd finally get what he wanted, but he said that he couldn't rest easy knowing that Manny and Uncle Larry were still out there. She said that she'd make them pay for what they'd done, but he didn't know where they were hiding. Since Dad told me tons of stuff I never knew, I thought I might as well spill the beans on what Mom and Aunt Audra were talking about last week. Also, quick note, they're probably talking about Mrs. Jefferson Sr., like Mrs. Riley's mom's mom, Riley's grandma. Yeah, anyway, I overheard Mom and Aunt Audra talking about using a necromancy ritual to resurrect Manny. Do you think Uncle Larry was helping them? As soon as I heard that, Dad heard that, he dragged me to the car and said we were handing to Aunt Audra's. By the way, I totally called that. He must have really wanted to revenge on Uncle Larry, but Aunt Audra was just on intent as not helping him. Frank, I consulted with the stars, and people with your sign are expected to have a month of bad luck. Would you like to hear more about that? Why don't you use your psychic powers to help locate Susan and Audra? Aunt Audra eventually caved in after Dad told her he had a gun and he was going to shoot up her crystal ball collection if he didn't tell her where Mom was. According to her, Mom and Uncle Larry were hiding in a rundown apartment complex, which didn't surprise me because Dad said Uncle Larry was actually dropped out of high school and probably couldn't afford a proper place to live. We're looking for Cunningham, huh? He'll be in room 426. The full building was sketchy as hell, and it smelled like really funky. I attribute that to the other tenants, most of which looked like they were involved in some sort of illegal activity. Hey, want some candy, little girl? We passed about 3 of these idiots before Dad started lecturing me about how I shouldn't follow the good girls love bad boys ethos. Though I don't think that's actually true. I mean, if it was, then Roderick would be covered in girls, even though he clearly isn't. Anyway, I'd much rather be in a relationship with a girl than some dweeb like Christopher Brownfield. I don't know when Dad will learn that I'm a lesbian, but I hope he doesn't, because I don't think he entirely approves of me becoming a girl. We ended up taking the stairs because the elevator was broken, and I had to listen to Dad lecture me all the way. I was almost relieved when he got to Uncle Larry's apartment, until I remembered Uncle Larry lived there. Cha-cha real smooth. Oh, hey there, Frank. So what brings you around on this fine dandy evening? On this fine dandy day? He didn't say anything. As soon as Uncle Larry turned his back on him, he drew his gun. Actually, it was Roderick's paintball gun, but it had the same effect. I'm getting a paintball gun, speaking of which. I'm going to start making paintball videos on this channel. Of me just, like, shooting stuff. Dad must have shot Uncle Larry at least 20 times before he ran out of ammunition. No, that's like actually bad. You can't do that. And he has like no gear to protect him. But just as we were about to leave, Mom and Manny returned. Thought Mom was gonna notice Uncle Larry writhing around in the corner. He's gonna go into pain shock. Like if he shot him like everywhere, he's gonna go into pain shock probably. But she spotted me first, and she thought I actually wanted to live with her. Oh, you're gonna love living with Larry. He's so funny. He's a great cook, and he's been an amazing father to Manny. While Mom continued to want Uncle Larry's virtues, I went into the kitchen and noticed a can of Peachy Breeze ice cream on the counter. Seeing it reminded me that Manny is allergic to peaches and gave me an idea. Sure enough, Manny went completely ballistic as soon as he took a lick of the ice cream, which gave me and Dad plenty of time to escape. Later tonight, we learned that Manny was dead again. I swear, that's the best I felt the last time he died. Breaking news, a 3-year-old is dead after eating Peachy Breeze ice cream. Do you know what your kids are eating? I'm sure Mom won't resurrect Manny again because I think the world's much better off without him. Thursday, I'm not sure what Shirog's been up to lately, but I'm pretty sure he started using the gender bender juice on random people. I mean, that's the only explanation I could find for this. Wait, I got a question. Why doesn't Greg just gender bender juice himself again? Like, why does he just, like, use it again on himself? Because he's a girl? He's got turned to a girl and he could turn back into a boy. Like, right? Wouldn't that make sense? I don't know. Anyway. Hey, Evan, if you're watching this, it's me, Julie. Yes, I know I look like Grant Hatfield or whatever that kid's name is, but I can assure you it's me. Don't ask me how I missed this, but I actually look a lot like Julie Weber. At least that's what she looked like before she drank the potion. If I knew what she looked like as a guy, I probably would have made her drink the potion and used her body as a double for myself. I would have made her go to school and do all my chores for me while I spent all the day at the arcade, but I guess it's too late now. Then again, it doesn't matter anymore because Dad just dropped a bombshells yesterday. Pack your bags, kids, because we're going to Boston. We're going to move to Boston by Saturday. Admittedly, I wasn't surprised by the news, as I heard Dad was urging his boss to transfer him ever since several of his co-workers drank the dancing potion. Plus, Mrs. Jefferson said he wanted to get away from Mum. She thought moving to Boston could serve as a fresh start. Well, I initially wasn't sure how I felt about moving, and I soon realized this was my chance as a fresh start. Mrs. Jefferson actually managed to convince Dad to enroll me in an all-girls school, so I wouldn't have to deal with any more idiots for the next few years. If anything happens, I'm crediting Rowley's note for making that happen. After I'd written on that last paragraph, I remembered that I started these journals thanks to Mum. Throughout the picture, I began wondering if I should continue writing in this, and in the end, I realized I'd have way more time for other stuff if I stopped. I never thought I'd reach this point, but I also never anticipated anything that happened to me within the past few weeks. And anyways, I'm running out of paper, and I might as well end on a high note. So yes, this is the end. Now that I think of it, those potions were good after all. Well, that was long. Like, that was at least 40 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please smash that subscribe button. Absolutely obliterate it. And recommend more long and girthy fan fictions for me to read. I hope you guys have a great day. And yeah, I'm out of here. Bye.